Okay. If everybody would like to take a seat, I'm going to call this meeting to order and ask the city clerk to please call roll.
Councilmember Little. Here. Councilmember Sander.
Here.
Councilmember Budge.
Here.
Vice Mayor Gatewood.
Here.
Mayor Pulapati.
Here. I'm going to ask the city clerk to announce the meeting's video recording and playback schedule.
The meeting of the Rancho Cordova City Council is recorded with closed captioning. The recording will be cablecast on Metro Cable Channel 14, the local government affairs channel, on the Comcast and Direct TV Uverse cable systems. The recording will also be video streamed at metro14live.saccounty.gov. Today's meeting will replay on Thursday, December 18th at 9 a.m. and Sunday, December 21st at 9 a.m. on Metro Cable Channel 14. Once posted, the recording of this meeting can be viewed on demand at youtube.com/Metro Cable 14 and on the city's website as well. Thank you.
I'm going to ask Chief House to lead the pledge, and I invite the audience to remain standing for the invocation by Sylvia Esponza with the Sacramento Law Enforcement Chaplaincy.
Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Loving God, as we begin this meeting, we ask for your guidance and wisdom. Help us to work together in harmony and purpose. Grant us clarity of thoughts, of unity of mind, so that our decisions may reflect your will and contribute to the greater good of all involved. Bless our decisions and efforts with your grace. Amen. Thank you.
Okay. Now for the special ceremonies, and I'm going to ask Stacy Leitner to swear in our Vice Mayor, Linda Budge.
Linda, if you will please raise your right hand. And for the office of Vice Mayor for the city of Rancho Cordova, if you will please repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Linda Budge,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith
that I will bear true faith
and allegiance to the Constitution
and allegiance to the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
and that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
discharge the duties on which I am about to enter.
Thank you. Congratulations.
So help me God.
Okay, I'm going to call on Stephen Gatewood to swear in Garrett Gatewood for mayor of Rancho Cordova. Stephen Gatewood.
Yeah, come up here. Come on, fabulous. Hold this for me.
Raise your right hand.
I nailed it.
For the office of mayor of the city council of the city of Rancho Cordova, I
I,
Garrett Gatewood,
Garrett Gatewood,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support
that I will support
and defend
and defend
the Constitution
the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of California
of the State of California
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith
that I will bear true faith
and allegiance
and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I will take this obligation
that I will take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will
and that I will well
and faithfully discharge
faithfully discharge
the duties upon which I am about to enter.
the duties on which I'm about to enter.
Congratulations, Garrett.
Oh, thank you, God. Here, smile at Teddy. And now I'll be singing. Oh, you want me to go to my speech? Yeah. All right, cool. Oh, well, we're supposed to take a break, right?
I think it says presentation to upload.
Mayor swear in. Mayor announces subject. Paul and Steve Gates swear in. Oh, yeah, you're right. All right. You can move it to break if you want. I'm doing my speech. I can do the speeches. Hold on. Yeah. All right. So we.
Oh, he's got pages and
I got pages and pages of speech ready to roll. Let me just see if I can find it.
Except he lost them.
Oh, that's this page. Hold on. We'll make this happen. It's going to happen right now. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Where's my Garrett speech? Hold on. Wait for it. Okay. I'll just wing it. There's a lot of paper at my desk. Hold on. I know you're waiting tooth and it's going to happen. I'm just going to go off the phone. This is going to be good.
I was going to accuse him of having a backpack more loaded than my purse.
It's going to happen. Hold on. Wait for it. Where are you, Maria? Okay. Boom. All right. So we're running a little behind on one of our esteemed council members, family members, where I will make you cry of all the hard things she's done. But instead, I'm going to step up and say something. So I had worked on a speech, and it was from my heart. So I'm going to read some of it, and then I'm going to steal off. The first part is, I am truly honored to be the mayor of Rancho Cordova. And it's going to be such an amazing year, such an amazing pace. But I have to start back with the major thank yous. First, our Lord and Savior, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to be a light for the city of Rancho Cordova. Thank you for choosing a Christian out of one of our churches to be able to take these steps. And then the second most important person in my life is my wonderful wife, who without her and the stuff she puts in front of my son, I would never be able to do this amazing job and be able to lead the city, because truly you are an amazing woman. My sons and my parents, my sons who are at soccer games and in college, I know I sent you in the ether, scoring right now on those other teams and making them punish. And the other one getting straight A's, because I swear to goodness, if you come back without A's, that's the end of your life. And then it basically comes back to my parents who raised, if you didn't know this, we're from a mixed race family. I'm African American, and the fact that you were able to go through all the trials and tribulations to get to me to the point where I am the first African American male to be appointed not only elected a council member, but also the mayor of the city. And so without your guidance, your instruction of how to be a true, strong Catholic male and really guide my family and the city, I wouldn't be here today. So thank you for everything you do. Now, to my wild and crazy friends that all happen to be here and who have supported me throughout everything I've done, I apologize. This year is going to be a lot of what we did, and I think truly because of you. I mean, I can go out through this history and look at the history of me. I was a small business owner in the city of Rancho, Cordova, so poor, and I got with an amazing woman, Diane Rogers, who said, "You can be more." And so the chamber was struggling, we were struggling, and we basically clawed ourselves out. If you didn't know this about City of Rancho Cordova, we're a bootstrap city. I like to call that name, which means we drag ourselves up by our own bootstraps. And that's how I felt like this business. It started with me in a little place in Fight Circle, and now we've gone to that all the way to where I am a multi-million-dollar business in the City of Rancho Cordova doing IT. And I got to be the mayor of this amazing city to help it go into not only the AI ecosphere, but amazing other opportunities in education, and that's all because of you guys. So give yourself a round of applause. You guys are amazing partners. And they're not here, so I get to keep talking. This year will be very focused on some amazing goals that will move the city forward in big leagues. I've always believed that I can tell you that we're 5 exits on the freeway. We have riverfront property. We're the only place with a working train. We have so many Fortune 500 companies and over 30 to 60,000 jobs in the city of Rancho Cordova and a $100,000 city. What that means is almost the size of my working class citizens that come in, we have jobs for everyone. For every one person we have in our city, we have a job for them. Think of that. And that is because the business district, which Diane helped us foster, and works with the government policy. And that's never heard of. The partners don't work together. This year will be with the projects of AI, if you guys haven't heard about that, robotics ecosphere, and of course downtown Dova, thanks to my boy Josh, who's dragging a project, kicking and screaming over the finish line, which is crazy because no one's trying to build stadiums right now. No one's building AI ecospheres in the middle of Rancho Cordova. Let me give you an idea of this. So we're at DC with a $1 trillion company announcing us. They also announced like the state of Georgia, and of course they announced Italy that they partnered with and Rancho Cordova. And the best was watching people try to scroll through their phones to figure out who the heck was Rancho Cordova. So they're sitting there trying to be like, oh, that must be somewhere in Uruguay, to Cordova. Yeah, I'm just, you're like, no, we're in the city of Sacramento. And they're like, oh, you're the major city. Yeah, that's us up between the others. Yeah, And that city, because of the great partnerships, thank you, HMCI, Sadie, Justin, and because of my amazing economic development group, we have dragged this thing over the finish line, and we're going to have a $4 trillion business now setting up jobs in the city of Rancho Cordova. This year, you'll hear me talk about 3 specific important goals for the city: technology, economic development, and the service to the community. I'll be supporting all initiatives with those focused on 2076 because these goals mean dear to my heart. I'll never forget where I started, small business. So I will always look to try to champion that. So this year, I'm going to do fun things like we're going to go talk about every restaurant. I'm going to try to put that on Facebook. We're going to go have meetups at coffee spots to get people engaged. We have 3,500 people or businesses that need to grow in our city, and they support almost our entire city. If you didn't know this, we are the global headquarters for Solidyne, VSP, Thermogenesis, Cora Power, HMCI, and more. And those are the ones that you know about that I'm allowed to talk about. And let me just check over my shoulder at the lawyer if I'm allowed to talk about the other ones. He's saying no, but that's all right. You're going to hear more to hear about how this city is growing. The second is we will reside in Rancho Cordova, as we are one of the top 5 fastest growing cities in California. And I think that's honestly because we have fun. We're a little crazy. We fight amongst ourselves, but that's only so we have a better product for our citizens. And I like that about us. We are trying to blaze a path. And I think that comes from all of you supporting us as we take those steps. Third, of course, I am going to show off how awesome we are. When I say awesome, I mean awesomeness. Yes, everywhere you go, you hear about this amazing city of Rancho Cordova. Now I'm going to show online why that is. I'm going to show the restaurants, I'm going to show the businesses, and I'm going to show you why this is the place that I'm going to coin the phrase, the Rancho Cordova Sacramento region. That's us now. Sacramento is the legacy. Rancho Cordova is the up-and-coming ecosphere. So we're the two big, if you think about it, everywhere from Dallas, Texas, has their Fort Worth, has one or two cities. We're the second city in this region. We're the one with $150 million in the black. We're the ones that are growing at the fastest growing city. And then there's our legacy city. That's there. So they set a good start, but we're the ones that are going to finish it. And then if you think about it, as this memorial race finishes, I'm going to basically touch down because I've worked really hard for the last 10 years to leave this city in great condition. And I can't wait to see what the next 10 years bring. And at that point, the Pull Potty boys just rolled into the room. And so I will take this break. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Okay, I love this one. Presentation to outgoing mayor.
I have a big, long speech for this one. You guys ready? All right, we're going to do this again.
I think you already used your 3 minutes, Garrett. The mic cut out.
That's just messed up.
That or the city clerk's heard enough.
Listen, she's excited about the opportunity because I rewrote it. And here we go. Come on, boys, come on up. Let's say goodbye to your mom. Come on down here.
Okay,
Yes, I do.
I also have my mom, and it's her birthday today.
Oh, bring her up.
That's great.
What's your mom's name?
Usha.
Usha. All right, we're going to sing Usha happy birthday because she came into the show, and that's how we do it. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Usha. Happy birthday to you. You have an amazing daughter. Come on, Siri. This is going to be good, and then you can do your speech. So I'm going to do this very, very well-written speech that has the word applause at the end. But first, I'm going to go off the cuff because that's who I am. Satosh Pulapati, when we met, I'm going to do it everywhere. She was running for the Park District. And she was one of those ones that I could tell was going to be an amazing individual. If you guys didn't know this, Siri is our first minority female to run. And she basically broke the glass wall or glass ceiling in the city of Rancho Cordova. So we're very proud of what you've done. And don't be surprised that someone as motivated as Siri Pulapati doesn't end up like a county supervisor, a congressman, or even the president of the United States. All right, Rancho Cordova, before we move into the new year, let's make some noise for the person that helped us steer the year full of momentum. Let's give it up for Mayor Siri Pulapati. Woo! This year, Siri made the history as the first woman of color to serve as mayor, and as she brought calm, thoughtful, community-centered approach to the role. She put strong emphasis on issues that residents cared most about: safe neighborhoods, clean, connected communities, and programs to uplift the kids. Under her leadership, we saw the progress of public safety, including new tools, real-time innovation center, expanded efforts for mail theft, and something all residents know as a new neighborhood watch. She deserves cheers. That's fancy words for the IT nerd brought more nerd stuff in, but that's why we love her. She brought her engineering background into the role in a meaningful way, championing technology, a smart city focused on planning, whether it was highlighting sustainable infrastructure, encouraging innovation, supporting STEM programs. She made tech and education stay the priority of our community. That's awesome. Let's get some more love. The one thing Siri kept front all year long was our young people. The Rancho Cordova Youth Center has grown, offering free programs, help kids learn, lead, and connect. She reminded us that, again, investing in our youth strengthens strengthens the entire city. That's awesome. Siri, on behalf of the entire council, the staff, our residents, thank you for your service, your heart, your commitment to our community. The honor at which you present on this plaque is not enough, but I want to say thank you for the amazing thing you did this year. Good job. You want to be there? Come on, get in this picture. Boys, no, you got to hold this. Boys, get in the picture. Someone, you guys have gotten so tall. All right. Okay.
Got it? Okay, thank you. You can have this. You want to see something? Okay. Thank you. Please sit down. So my name is Siri, and I'm listening. So the major part of my job is to listen to the residents. So that's what I've been doing all my years as council and also as my year as mayor. As you are aware, I only go by three things whenever I rule anything on this side of the podium, is that it's legally, ethically, and morally correct. So whenever I make a decision, I ensure that these follow these three rules. And my priorities have always been education, public safety, and economic development. So that will continue, and the focus on the city will continue. As Mayor Garrett said, I do have high hopes for the city. As for myself, I'm here to serve in any capacity that I can. I cannot be president, but as Rancho Cordova has made the first immigrant to be the mayor of the city. As a city, we embrace our culture, we embrace the diversity, and we're united. And that's how we're going to stay. Thank you, everyone. And I think this is the time I call for a break. Okay. Break, celebrations.
Stacy, you ready? All right, I'm going to go ahead and gavel us back in. I'm going to gavel lighter next time. There we go, light gavel. And I'm going to go ahead and ask for public comment.
We do have public comment. We'll start with Michael Harris. Following Michael Harris will be Kathy Birch. Following Kathy will be Helen Whalen-Bashaw and Larry Ladd. Michael? Yep, you'll have up to 3 minutes. And there are no presentations prior to public comment today.
Happy Hanukkah. And then I'll say early Merry Christmas. And then we're going to have a happy Kwanzaa right next door. The first day of Kwanzaa is going to be here in Rancho Cordova and build into the 60th anniversary of this California-grown holiday that some of y'all might remember, because I try to remind y'all as often as I can, and some of y'all know we put a highway sign out there to tell folks about who William Leidesdorff was. Because he actually was doing, in 1844, what y'all are about to do today is lead the world in innovation. So if you look at Leidesdorff, you look at the California State Seal, he has a steamship on the State Seal because he was a world traveler, and he was talking about how do you have an educated workforce? So he built the first public school in California. And he was talking about how do you have a garden? So he had a garden, one of the first gardens in San Francisco. They're just getting around to having a farm bureau in San Francisco to talk about Yerba Buena Gardens, which is what San Francisco was before. So this whole area is near and dear to me. I was born here in Sacramento County, and I got here when they killed Mr. Kennedy, president. And we still have this conversation with my mom about, I'm gonna leave that alone. But the idea that the fuel for getting to the moon was just right around the corner. And so if you look at, I don't know who did it, but it's I just love the infinity sign because it's 8, it's laying on its side, but that means something to those of us that are, Trekkies, and will boldly go where no human has gone before. So I encourage y'all to keep dreaming, keep praying, and really be open to, as obviously you are, to all the faiths, because we all have something to contribute that helps, form a more perfect union. Because that's what's going to get us through the good times and the bad times. So y'all keep going forward, and I'll be around as long as I can. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kathy Birch, and I've lived in Tiffany West at the end of Sterling Park Drive, adjacent to the former Cassis property for 37 years. I'm here tonight with a concern and hopefully a suggestion for possible solution. My concern is that whenever a council person is absent, whether for illness or prior commitments or recusal or whatever reason, the rest of the council's person's constituents have zero representation in matters. We understand that our councilperson, Dave Sander, is obligated to recuse himself in a huge possible housing development vote due to proximity of his residence to the proposed project. However, those of us who live in the district with a potential huge impact on our lives via increased traffic and disruption to our quiet community and potential lower home values due to planned low-income housing and other variables need to have our concerns represented. For many of us, our home values are the largest part of our legacy to younger generations. I believe that we should find a way to have substitute council persons, unbiased and able to stand in for any council districts when needed. There are only 5 city council people for Rancho Cordova, and there is an impact when they can't appear to participate in important decisions. At the last council meeting, December 1st, 2 council persons were absent. There was apparent confusion when a motion was made requiring 3 affirming votes, but the vote was 2-1, so the motion couldn't pass. The legal system provides for alternate jurors in jury trials. The baseball has designated hitters for some of the pitchers. Why not have alternate city council persons to represent the constituents when needed, either by elected or appointed methods? We have been involved with possible development of the Cassis property for over 7 years. First with the Pappas developers who wanted to have extensive low-income and low-income residences so they could get government subsidies. Now with Trumark Homes, whose plans are to build high-income homes in a floodway of the American River, the decisions made regarding this potential development is huge to the constituents, yet our councilman cannot even voice his own opinions for this district or for himself. This just seems wrong. Thank you.
Hello, Michelle here from the Tierra Grande area. I'd like to find out what's going to happen when Metro Cable no longer starts to record these meetings. What is the city doing to make sure that these meetings get recorded and we have for future references the actual wording and everything that took place or takes place in the council? That's not that far out before they stop doing it, is what I understand. Another thing I'd like to bring up is, again tonight, we swore in the new mayor and the vice mayor, and both swore to abide by the federal and state regulations and rules that govern how you do things. I brought up several years ago that when the districting came on to we went into districting, that's when we found out that in 2002, the city had an obligation when they were in the process of forming to be the city in 2003 to district. They elected not to do it. And as I mentioned before, that one thing of deciding not to do it was like 20 years ago. And so Linda and David have been on their positions as a council for that whole time. So why did it take a citizen to sue the city to get us to district? Another issue I have is when they went out to put up the areas there are 2 areas that didn't have representation. They elected to keep one of them off the ballot to have people run for the position. So technically, we took a position that had somebody seated in it, which is Garrett. We posted that up, which meant there were 3 of them living in that area. Garrett wasn't able to run, but it made it seem that he had a dead-end job. As soon as his 2 years or the remaining years were up, he was going to be without a job. He had to wait until Siri came up, that position she sits in. You've done a major disservice to the low-income areas that didn't get the representation there. Nobody was knocking on the doors, talking to the people. And then when you took a lot of things away from Joe, and I think it was August 4th, you did a disservice to his community, the community that voted on him. What you said was, the citizens don't mean anything to us. We're going to do what you did with Joe. I'm really opposed to that. It's an embarrassing thing. Thank you.
Next speaker is Larry Ladd.
Okay, Larry Leroy Ladd, one of the co-founders of the city. I agreed with a lot with what Helen had to say, and I'll add a little bit to it. The missing of, well, let's put it this way. I don't embarrass easy, because when I was being raised, my role model for municipal government, and I'm going to direct this to Dr. Sander, we already talked about this earlier, was Richard J. Daley, the boss for the Chicago machine. So I don't embarrass easy, and my expectations are not real high. But David had a good laugh because he talked about if Daley was running this town, he'd be a very, very wealthy guy right now, which is absolutely true. All right. In terms of what Helen said about, and one reason I worked so hard to form this city was so that I would have the opportunity to say my piece in a legal form that could be archived. I don't know what you're going to do without the video thing, but I'm not going to be around that much longer to worry about it. All right, so Garrett, Richard J. Daley, the boss, Mike Royko. If you're looking for ideas, there might be stuff there.
Right now.
You know.
1902 in Chicago.
Yeah,
Had
yeah.
a heart attack.
Yeah.
From a delicious sandwich.
Right. And the fire department did CPR on him for an hour and a half because nobody wanted to be the guy who called the mayor dead. That's
impressive.
how it worked. Anyway, Siri, thank you for your service, ma'am. It was just like when I was at the Veterans Day and a Cub Scout came up to me and said, "Sir, were you a veteran?" And I said, "Yes." And he saluted me and said, "Thank you for your service, sir. You did a great job. Thank you." How much time have I got? I've got 1 minute, 1:17. So we covered Daley. You were already looking him up, so you're a...
22 years, and the longest running mayor. Put this on. 22, I'll give you times. 22 years, and the longest running Chicago mayor of all times, declining on his 7th turn to run because it was too easy for him to win.
Yes, sirree. As a young boy, my family took me up to Chicago in 1965, and I tell you, Mao didn't have anything on Richard J. Daley when it came to personality cult. His signs and names were everywhere. So if I come back to Rancho Cordova and I say, the Gatewood this, the Gatewood that, I said, oh yeah, he's been studying his history. The Gatewood Gateway, yeah.
Gatewood Gateway.
The Gatewood Gateway.
Oh, my life.
All right. So where are we going?
Larry,
Joe.
you're confusing the youngins so much. None of this is taught anymore. They don't know who Mao is. They don't know who Daley is.
I know, but we're both old. We both understand, and you have more white hair than I do. Okay. Point of personal order. Joe, hang in there, dude. I can die in peace because you were on the city council, sir. It's important to me. Yeah. All right. Linda. Every polity needs a long-term memory, and you are the guardian of what has happened here in the past. I will cross swords with you on many times about issue things, but it's important that you are here passing on what you know to these people. And we're at 30 seconds. Siri, thank you. Us elders need to always be giving input on the process. Garrett, you're a good student. And again, if I see the Gatewood Gateway somewhere, I'm going like, yeah, he read the book.
Wrap up your
Should have
comments.
said he was a good student when his parents were in the room.
Well, I'm not going there. All right, so thank you very much. Oh, one other thing. As an elder statesman, I view it, kind of above the fray, compromises. And so, as I mentioned to several of you at Cassis, how about compromising by giving the Riverwood half of the Cassis property to Soilborn Farms?
We do have this item on the agenda later tonight if you want.
Yeah, and I don't comment then, but I'm just using my last, you added more time. I'm not going to take that much time.
You're a minute and a half over.
I'm sorry. Well, anyway, or on Folsom Boulevard, build a 50-story pencil tower. And I'm going to New York on Thursday, and I'll be scoping out, looking for billionaires there. And we'll see how practical that idea is. Talk to you later on.
Mayor Gatewood, that's all the public comment that we have.
My favorite, most entertaining citizen. Let's go to, do you want me to read the public speaker thing since we already jumped to public comment, or should we just move down to council members' reports? Okay, council reports. David. Oh, I'm sorry, Joe.
Not too much to report. We had the Lincoln Village Holiday Parade. God, what else? I saw we had a movie star in the city recently. Saw a sign on the freeway. This woman's been in 550 movies. I thought that was really impressive. We're growing. We're getting on the map. That's it.
David.
Well, so much Christmas and holiday activity. I just want to say congratulations to the Symphony de Oro for their performance, the Rancho Cordova Concert Band, Sacramento Valley Live Steamers for their Christmas event, the various Make a Dream and other Christmas and holiday-related activities. Really, really impressive in Rancho Cordova. I'm sure there are more reports about that coming on my right. I've been to the NLC meeting in Salt Lake City, and also a subsequent meeting in Florida. And I have to say we are lauded to some degree at those meetings. People still talk about their visit here and the things they saw and the impression they have about partnerships. So the most common thing whether I'm talking with leadership at NLC and of other cities, or if I'm just talking with regular members who attend the meeting, I am asked about Rancho Cordova and our partnerships just on a very regular basis. I think it's interesting. We might want to think about ways to do more with that or share that, because I think if I look back on, my time serving here, what I probably haven't done enough of is like write about it. We've gone off and given talks about it. People who are in the audience have given talks with me about it, about our unique partnerships, but we haven't written about it that well or that often. So that might be something I want to commit us to, or at least myself to, going forward. I also want to congratulate the Sun River community on their Santa event that they did this past Saturday. I was on a plane, but they did an outstanding job, as they have for probably nearly a decade, with that event. It is an entirely volunteer produced. This is not a city supported event in any way, or it certainly could be intent if they wanted to grow it. But I think that just is a perfect example of a bunch of people in the community coming together to do something for the benefit of the community. No personal profit, just for the good of all. And that's exactly what this season is about. And that's also what is at the very root of the city of Rancho Cordova pursuing partnerships, are events like that, facilitating them to happen. So I just want to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas, very Happy New Year, happy holidays, and look forward to a very great 2026. Oh, and I almost forgot, there are presents.
Yes.
Some of them not so present-like.
More reading
This book was
material.
distributed at the NLC meeting in Salt Lake City. It's about housing solutions. It's published by a housing developer there. There's a report from the NLC on public opinion poll. There's the annual State of the Cities report done by NLC. You will find us in these publications. And the blueprint projects, the blueprint was adopted in November. These are the projects and the highlights from various cities. So this is a.
Oh, look, we're here.
There we go. This is some homework. These are yours, Joe. And I also have something that's a little bit more present-like. I don't know how to distribute these properly, so I'll just throw them.
Do it. I got it. Linda, here's yours. Socks.
Oh, gee.
You caught it for Linda?
Yeah, of course.
All right, socks, NLC socks, limited edition. I won't tell you how I got a hold of those, and no, Garrett, they haven't been worn. But Merry Christmas.
You're right. Yay. All right, Siri.
Well, thank you, Council Member, for keeping Rancho Cordova in the spotlight, even being ex-president or past president. As you are aware that Council Member Davis is pretty much very active in NLC, and Rancho Cordova gets all the goodies because of that. I attended the GSEC board meeting. This actually is a good one where we have a collaboration between private and public partnerships along with local electeds and local business community leaders. So that collaboration is pretty good for the city of Rancho Cordova. We had a mayor's lunch, which we host with the Sacramento County mayors, and this was my turn. We had Mayor McCarthy attend, Folsom Mayor, and the Citrus Heights Mayor. So you can continue that, Mayor Gatewood, if you would so like. That is a really good one where we could talk about everything that's going on in our cities. And then I attended the Bangladesh Victory Day event at McGarvey this past Saturday. Those were the events that I attended. And the Lincoln Parade. That was a pretty good one. It was cold, but it was a really good event. Lots of lights. Thank you.
You know, Siri, there used to be quarterly meetings of the local government elected officials in Sacramento County. It would move from host to host. Mm-hmm. And people always wanted to come to the Rancho Cordova one because, as Garrett said earlier, we had the most fun. And sometimes we would have it catered by Rudy's, which meant lobster. Mm-hmm. So they wanted to show up for that. But that was a very good event for getting local government officials to talk to each other and know each other so that we could work together on projects outside of ourselves and also learn from them and what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, actually, when we hosted League of Cities earlier this year, and in fact, they thought it was the most attended event and very well liked.
Linda.
Yeah, no, I agree with everybody's comments about that event. Speaking of partnerships, we had a great meeting with Metro Fire, 2x2 or ad hoc, whatever you want to call it. And actually part of what they were showing off tonight was their new Squad 61, which is separate from the engine or from the medic, and it's designed to be more nimble and get them out into the community quicker. And so they were here to show off their truck and their people. The best announcement that Metro Fire made, though, is that they anticipate hiring an architect in February to work on the replacement for Station 61. So they can finally get out of a building that was originally built in 1920 and has been remodeled several times since then. Actually, the two-story wing, that's the barracks, sort of, for the firefighters, was actually built by the firefighters themselves sometime in the 60s. I attended the SACOG Transportation meeting, committee meeting when David was on the road. And I have to say, a lot of what they're doing seems so esoteric when some of the members, like Live Oak, are having to worry about the future of their fire and their police departments and have significant budget problems. So it seems like sometimes maybe dealing with a little more reality and getting their head out of the federal clouds might be a good idea. We had a conflict between the library and regional transit, so Garrett went to the library meeting, and it turned out that the chair, Rod Brewer from Elk Grove, managed to get them out in 15 minutes. So everybody that was on the library board was able to make the RT meeting at 4 o'clock. And I don't think there were any earth-shattering announcements there. I thoroughly enjoyed teaching leadership on Thursday. It used to be an all-day program, and now it's a half-a-day program. But we teach the history of Rancho Cordova and the arts of Rancho Cordova and the importance to the economic development activities of history, arts, entertainment, and sports here in Rancho Cordova. And then I'm with David. The concert Saturday, I managed to get both my sister-in-law and my husband to go, and it was great. Everybody had a terrific time. It was just marvelous. And conductor Pete Nolan was at his absolute best, and everybody did a well choreographed sing-along. So I would join David in wishing everybody a wonderful season. I know too many different languages in which to say Merry Christmas, so I'm not going to bore you with that, but hope everybody is safe and happy and goes into the new year with peace. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. All right, so I did a lot. It's interesting, when you become mayor, your schedule goes away, and I'm already missing 7 things because they're on the same date. And that's the deal. I was like, I got here and I'm like, I'm already disappointing people. It's fast. My favorite event, which I think there's 2 of them that basically spotlight how amazing Rancho Cordova is. One is Holiday Stars. We picked 2 really needy, necessary people because we have a lower disadvantaged group of community members, and we help them to go to a Target, and then they get a gift certificate, and you get to scream real loud, and the kids run in there with their chosen cop, and they pick a bunch of stuff, and it's the cutest because a lot of the kids will get the backpacks. They've never had new backpacks before, and they'll try to go shopping for their parents for the first time. So it's kind of like giving them a little bit of dignity and allowing them to go shopping to get Christmas parents. A lot of them don't shop for themselves, they shop for their parents, and so they'll go pick up stuff that they knew this needed around the house, and it's fun watching the fire and police kind of coordinate them through. And so literally my favorite thing, I'm glad that I got to do it, and I get to do it 2 times in a row, which is basically makes my heart full. The other is the Christmas Mall. If you didn't know that, we have a amazing church that basically brings in parents from Rancho Cordova that are on hard times, and then gives them like faux dollars to go shop for their kids, and then they pamper the parents when they're there. So they'll take the mom, they'll give a spa treatment, which is all donated, and they'll treat them up, and they just do this amazing thing. And it's all Rancho citizens taking care of Rancho citizens. And even when the government was having trouble with SNAP benefits, Rancho citizens took care of Rancho citizens. And I think that's what makes us the most special, is we do fight among ourselves, but that's only to get the best thing for Rancho Cordova, because we really care about where we're from. Like, everyone in here is 3 or 4 generations deep of Rancho Cordova, and they all care what we're going to next. I got to go to the Lincoln Village holiday parade, which I've always enjoyed. Side note, they should never, thank you for my amazing Cordova Community Council who flew in on the extra flight to come see me become mayor and gave me a microphone. Now, if you ever known that you get put on the back of a truck and then they give you a megaphone and they're like, entertain yourself. And I'm like, this is going to be a long trip. I'm going to sing carols. Now, I don't quite know the words to every carol, but I do know a lot of them. and then you kind of muffle, and then you keep it going. Nowhere, nowhere, no. You know what I'm saying? And I did that for hours. Now, the best part, the piece de resistance, was my 14-year-old son, who was just getting an ego and an id, literally said, "Dad, I think I'm dead on the inside. I just want to thank you." Because he was next to me in a, was it a gingerbread? No, it was a costume.
Nutcracker.
A nutcracker costume. So every piece of ego, I made sure to shatter it because he's next to his dad, having him sing all throughout Lincoln Village as parents come out. And one of his friends from the school came out and said, "Hey, Jacob." And I was like, "Yeah, this is Jacob Gatewood. Hey, how are you?" And he was like, "Yeah, there it is. There it is, Dad. I'm just going to lay here." I was like, "It's cool. You didn't need that. Listen, I don't want you popular until you're in college. It'll be fine." It's good. Library board, I think they've come a long way from when I used to go and they fight, and now they can get out in 15 minutes. I also am very concerned with those type of services, and I'm hoping that soon we can have our own library in Rancho Cordova. It's one of those few things that I really think just kind of bond a city together to have. We have one, but it's not in our city. We'd like to have one that's in the city, that's near like education and kind of in the region so everyone can go to it, because there's nothing better than going there and seeing the little kids learn how to read, or the older, more seasoned people being able to go there and get the books they want, or training on computers. That's just where you go learn that kind of thing. So I'm hoping we get that. We had a Sacramento meeting. I went to that. More to come. A live nativity. Didn't know we had that in the city of Rancho Cordova. They had a live nativity. They have lambs, and they had a camel, which my son was really tempted to try to jump on top of. And I was there. I was like, "Please don't. Please don't." He's like, "Remember when you sang and pointed at my friend?" I was like, I do. He's like, "I'm this close." I'm like, so, and to everyone that came, thank you so much for being supportive. It's going to be an amazing year. Oh, and good job speaking at the Region Business event that we went to with the potential. There is something so cool that's going to happen in about 3 months, but I can't really talk about it because if I do, then Adam gets mad and Mike is like, then the idea will go away. But there's because of the energy we're putting out, there's a lot of businesses that we've always wanted that are now circling around Rancho Cordova trying to find a home. So just a little taste. I want you to think of the stuff that we've always talked about and always wanted, but never been able to have, along with the stadium and the AI ecosphere, are now seeing if Rancho Cordova can fulfill them. So that's it. Micah.
Thank you, Mayor. So there we're heading right into the holiday season. So just highlighting, you guys covered a lot of the different holiday events, but there's still more. We also did the PAL run this weekend with over 600 participants running, and I promise next year I will try to run and not just show up and wave and send them off, but I'll be practicing all year. We had the Christmas in Cordova event over at the youth center with PAL and RCPD giving away over 100 families toys on Sunday. So just a whole lot of variety of good and giving things for the community over the last week or so. So I was able to take the rest of the day from Vice Mayor Budge for the leadership program. So she was nice enough to give us the rest of the half of the day to talk about the fun things of governance and Finance 101. And we did a little mock exercise of picking CIF award winners. And so they had to choose with their grant dollars what to spend. So a little exercise in governance for them, experience as part of Leadership Rancho Cordova. And last, we had, this is not a public event, but maybe it should be, we had a city staff holiday baking and craft sale that actually raises dollars for our City Staff Pride Scholarship Program. So the team was able to raise $2,600 as part of that program. And I didn't bring as much nice, good stuff from NLC as Councilmember Sander, but I did pick a few goodies for you guys to celebrate the holiday season. So those are handcrafted by your city team crafts, whether they're dog treats, people treats, or some potpourri type things. So handmade by your city team and went to the Pride Scholarship. So, David's going through his bag now. So Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. Thank you.
All right, thank you. That's awesome. All right. We're going on to consent calendar items. Consent calendar items consist of matters deemed routine and non-controversial by staff, unless a member of council wishes to pull an item for individual consideration. All items may be approved in one motion. Is there any council members that wish to pull any consent calendar items?
I have a comment on 15.7.
So do you want me to pull it, or you just want to give the comment now?
I can just do the comment.
All right, go ahead.
I was contacted by some folks who were worried that this was establishing radar enforceable, like automated cameras on 15.7. This is actually a survey that's required to be done by us so that we can adjust speed limits on given streets. And if you read the staff report, there are a couple of streets that will actually have speed limits reduced. There's also a risk when you do this analysis that the speed limit has to go up. If everyone is driving faster than the speed limit, state law can require you to actually raise the speed limit when you do the survey. So it's not, speed limits, contrary to public belief, are not entirely under our control. There's a lot of state law governing that. So this is not enforcing automatic speed cameras. This is simply allowing us to lower some speeds where we've done the survey to determine we can do so and lower the speed.
Fun fact, Folsom Lake Crossing in Folsom is not radar enforceable because it can't do whatever it needs for the engineers to, the speed that people travel on it is too high for what it's posted, and if they posted what people actually drive, there's no point. So you can't get a radar ticket on Folsom Lake Crossing. Have at it.
I think everywhere in America, city council can set their own speed limit, but not here.
Yeah, I also got a comment from a resident about the speed on a particular street being too high. So I'll turn that into Public Works.
All right.
Public Works, you should correct me if I goofed on that in any way. It's all right? It's good.
All right.
But I would like to pull 15.5.
Okay.
And continue that to a future agenda.
Okay. All right, we're going to pull 15.5. And then I'm going to ask if, before we do that, do we have any public comment?
We have a public comment for 15.7. It was submitted via email by Donald Childs. It's been distributed to the council, posted on the city's website, and placed in a printed binder in the back of the council chambers.
Excellent. Can I have a motion for the items that are?
So I'll move approval of the balance of the items 15.1 through 15.8, with the exception of 15.5.
Second.
Can I get a roll call?
Councilmember Sander.
Aye.
Councilmember Little. Councilmember Pulapati.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Budge.
Yes.
Mayor Gatewood.
Yes. Can we go ahead and
So
pull up item 15.5?
No, I don't want to talk about it tonight.
Want to move it?
Yeah, I would move, ask that we continue this to the next agenda of the 5th or whatever that is of January.
January 5th.
Yeah.
We can do that.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Can I get a roll call?
Councilmember Sander.
Aye.
Councilmember Little. Councilmember Pulapati.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Budge.
Yes.
Mayor Gatewood.
Yes.
And there was no public comment for that, as I mentioned earlier.
All right. 16, public hearing items. Consent public hearing items consist of matters deemed routine and non-controversial by staff unless a matter of the council wishes to pull an individual item. All items may be approved in one motion. I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing. See how gentle that was? And is there any one that wants to pull any items?
We do not have any public comment for the consent public
No,
hearing.
the first was pulling the items. Hold on.
Sorry.
Going to be right there. And so seeing none, do we have any public hearing or public, sorry, now I'm messing it up.
Comment.
Do we have any public comment? Thank you.
We do not have any public comment on the consent calendar.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing and ask,
So I will move approval of 16.1 and 16.2.
Second.
roll call, please.
Councilmember Little. Yes. Councilmember Sander.
Aye.
Councilmember Pulapati.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Budge.
Yes.
Mayor Gatewood.
Yep.
The motion carries. Thank you.
All right, there's no public hearing items for the evening, so we're going to go to regular calendar items. Stacy, can you read the subject?
Yes. A resolution authorizing the issuance of special tax bonds for and on behalf of Improvement Area Number 2 of the City of Rancho Cordova, Arista del Sol Community Facilities District Number 2022-1, approving and directing the execution of a fiscal agent agreement, approving the form of preliminary official statement, approving sale of such bonds, and approving other related documents and actions.
All right. Is there any staff report?
Good evening, Mayor, council members, Michelle Menge, Finance Manager. The item before you this evening is the issuance or the approval of the issuance of special tax bonds on behalf of the Arista del Sol Community Facilities District 2021-1 Improvement Area Number 2. The CFD was formed in 2022 in order to finance the impact fees and/or facilities for the development project. The finance-related resolution this evening authorizes bonds to be issued in the amount not to exceed $10 million. And it's important to note that this is not the general fund obligation. All of the debt service will be funded through special taxes collected within the district. And with that, I will open it up to any questions that the council may have.
Let's go ahead and do public comments. Stacy?
The city clerk's team does not have any public comment.
All right. Guys, do you have any questions? Seeing none, I'd like to take a motion.
Move approval of 18.1.
Second?
Adopt the resolution.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Pulapati?
Yes.
Councilmember Sander?
Aye.
Councilmember Little? Vice Mayor Budge?
Yes.
Mayor Gatewood?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Can you go ahead and read subject for 18.2?
Discussion and approval of 2026 council member appointments to regional boards, commissions, and committees.
Stacy, do you have a staff report?
Yes. In the Sacramento region, many public agencies provide essential services, and their boards, commissions, and committees include representatives from multiple jurisdictions across the region. Each year, our city council discusses and determines appointments to these regional boards, and to ensure that Rancho Cordova has a strong voice and remains an active partner in regional influence and decision-making. These appointments allow council members to be able to collaborate with neighboring cities and our regional partners and to contribute directly to those initiatives that impact our community here in Rancho Cordova. Tonight, you will be considering the proposed 2026 council member appointments to regional boards, commissions, and committees. I do have one correction to highlight. As Vice Mayor Budge brought it to my attention, that the strategy listed for the greater Growing Strong Neighborhoods is the same as Sacramento Metro Fire, and Sacramento Metro Fire strategy should have been left blank. This term will run from January 1st through December 31st of 2026, unless otherwise noted.
And I have a suggestion on the strategy that would be appropriate for our meetings with Metro Fire, and that would be to help them, to encourage them to reconstruct Station 61 and to continue to support them in the orderly distribution of fire services and safety services to our growing neighborhoods.
That sounds good. All right. Public comment.
Yes, we do have public comment for item 18.2. We'll start with James Garcia. Following James will be Helen Whalen Bashaw and Larry Leroy Ladd.
Hello, James Garcia, resident of Stone Creek. I'm here to make a comment about your possible selections that you have recommended so far. Back in August 4th of 2025, Joe Little was actually a member of 5 committees and boards as the primary and 5 alternate ones. At that meeting, special meeting, he was removed from all powers, appointments. It seems that this is an ongoing trend. It's now been 4 months that his area has not been able to be serviced. It seems like a disservice to his constituents there within Lincoln Village, as well as all the other areas in his district. This is kind of essential what's happening as 2 districts are basically being blackballed. Since the election process was decided to have districting, we left one area, Cordova Vineyards, without a representative when we clearly had a representative in Anatolia by allowing somebody else to run again. That was our outgoing mayor. So she ended up getting elected, and as such, you're blackballing the Cordova Vineyard area. And also now Lincoln Village by not allowing Joe to be able to be on any committees. So I would recommend that you change your recommendations and pop him on some more so that we actually have people all over represented. So thanks.
Helen Whalen Bashaw from the Tierra Grande area. I was looking at the who has what, and I am a little concerned because we have David and Linda, primary or alternate, in two critical areas. And I think, and I believe, that to develop and mentor the junior council people, we need to have, David is on the SAC group with Linda as his alternate. We need to have a junior representative or a person not as senior as Linda and David as a backup. Linda is on the transit board and David is the alternate. That needs to be replaced with a junior person. Because if something happens to the two senior people here and their alternate is another senior member, we are doing the city a major disadvantage in that we do not have a spread of the junior and the senior on different councils. I am also concerned that we have a person on the vector control board as a primary that's not even a council member. I feel that person should be replaced with a council member because that person's been around that board for years. We're losing connectivity with these different groups by keeping people on, especially a member that is not part of the city council. I believe all these should be part of the city council. Another area I have a concern about is the Lower American River District. David is the primary on that. My concern is the same concern we raised when the council approved for the district that David is in charge of being along the American River. There could be things that happen that he's not going to be able to vote on, really err on, because he lives in that area. He's within the 500 feet requirement for the CASAS item. And if you attend any of the meetings that are held with SARA, which is Save the American River Association, and all the groups, you're going to find out how integral it is to have representatives all along the river, very in tune to the needs of the river, because each party that drops the ball affects the whole river. And if you want to stay as a national wild and scenic river system, we've got to quit cutting down trees and allowing things to take place at different parts of the river without everybody talking, because ultimately you affect the entire river system. Thank you.
Leroy Ladd.
All right, it's a quick government lecture here, and an out-of-date one using old terms that only David Sander and I remember. But when I was taught about government in the United States, one of the things that was great about government in the United States was pluralism, was the phrase, that every person has a multiplicity of identities that keeps the situation from being polarized. And so I'm an old dude, I'm totally into that. The other thing is, coming from a family that got totally swept up in the U.S. Civil War, is compromise. And so I would hope that you guys keep that in mind when you had the first action on Mr. Little. Maybe he made some beginner's mistakes, but like I said, and you got ink in the grapevine, it's like running a city of 80,000 people like it's a high school. Like there's a clique in charge, and you ostracize anybody who isn't part of your group. Okay, still 2 minutes. I'll add to that another analogy. Klingons, maybe a little more current. Klingons, who are this parody of being so hyper aggressive and so oppressive that it blows up in their face, or they're transparent and you can outwild them. So I'm urging you, give young Joe Little something to do outside this city. Compromise somehow or another. Otherwise, let's give an example of that. When I was here for public comment, and there was a Muslim woman here, and I was the only one here, you turned off my microphone. Now that's not good for the Founding Fathers. And as a consequence, that woman was part of the lawsuit that forced the creation of additional districts. So if you get too hard on Joe, it's going to blow up in your face. So give him something, okay? Don't be a Klingon.
In addition to the public comment that you've heard, Donald Childs also submitted a public comment for item 18.2 that has been distributed to the council, placed on the city's website, and printed for the public in the back of the council chambers.
Thank you. Do you have any motions? To motion, we're going to move.
Move approval of 18.2.
Second. Roll call.
Sorry, was there a scope for council to comment?
No.
Okay, did any of the council wanted to comment?
She walked out.
Oh,
She had to go out.
she didn't hear the thing? All right.
No,
tell
no.
her-
Oh, sorry.
Tell Siri the thing. She had a scope. Did you want to hear her scope?
Did you want to comment? No, I was wondering if the council if they had any concerns, if they already passed that. I don't know.
Oh, okay, no.
So,
Roll call.
Mayor, can we just make sure kind of this vote includes the addition of the strategy there that was part of the Metro Fire ad hoc? And so if want to make sure if that's a part of the motion.
As amended, I should add.
Yeah, as amended. Now roll call.
So I heard a motion from Sander and a second from Budge. Is that correct? Sorry, second from Gatewood. Thank you. And that was to approve the proposed appointments that were included in the packet and distributed to the council. Thank you. So roll call. Councilmember Sander.
Aye.
Councilmember Little.
Yeah.
Councilmember Pulapati.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Budge.
Yes.
Mayor Gatewood.
Yep.
Thank you. Motion passes.
All right. Moving on, can you go ahead and read subject, please?
Yes, tolling and settlement agreement between the City of Rancho Cordova and TH Rancho Cordova LLC. True Mark.
On this item, I need to recuse myself because my home is too close to the proposed property. Therefore, under state law, is a conflict of interest for me to engage, so I will depart the room.
Hey, David.
And I'll
Given
meet
that-
you in closed session.
Given that there's no action, do you still need to recuse yourself?
Yeah, he's still
Okay.
got to recuse himself.
Okay, please recuse yourself.
Get out.
He can go eat.
You- There's some chili cheese fries in there. Slightly warmed. It's delicious. I don't know why you people don't like it. Once he closed the door, question, can we have our planning commissioner, like if it's something I wanted, can I step off and have the planning commissioner? You can't, right? I was just checking. I would love the idea to be like, I'm not in the area, but I'd love someone from Rancho to sit in for the vote.
It's allowed for many boards and commissions. There's by their charters, by their formation documents allowed, there's an appointed alternative. In general, I'm not aware of anything in the FPPC regulations and laws and
That would let someone else take my seat?
That would let somebody just
How
take your
does it
seat.
work then if we are four?
If you're too few to take action, there's a process for drawing straws and bringing back to participate in the item a council member who has a conflict. So, but it doesn't allow for what the members of the public were suggesting of.
What-
There isn't an election for you and an alternate. You're not
Is there
elected.
what's the rule that you can step down off the diocese and go and talk? Is there a way to do that? I've heard of council members being able to go down and then
Yeah.
testify. Is that not allowed as well?
And if you have a conflict there's a limited range of participation that you can do as a member of the public.
Okay.
But you are assiduously required to not engage, not just in the voting,
Right.
but in influencing the vote as a council member. So I do think, as a practical matter, it's difficult to speak to your colleagues and to ask them to take action, even as a member of the public, without influencing them in your capacity. But yes, there is a limited range of authority for you to still participate as a member of the public if you have a conflict.
No, sorry, you need to give some clarity on the last vote, because there was a point when we had 3 council members, and the vote was, in that capacity, 2/3 versus 1/3. So was it like supposed to be all 3 on one side?
Yeah, so in that particular, because of the nature of the item, because it was a resolution, and because it was a resolution that involved funding, in order to be effective, in order for the action to be effective, it was something that required a majority of the full body. So the vote didn't pass because there's a variety of actions that require a vote of the full body, not just a majority of the quorum that was in front of you.
Okay. Let's go ahead and get Stacy.
Therefore, there are items that are able to be passed with the majority in the room, depending on what the action is.
But that one requires
That was
3 out of 5.
But there are a number there are a variety, a number that require a majority of the full body. So, we'll try to plan accordingly for items that might require. I think in general, it's great when the council's all here because it gives the city manager and staff more options in agenda management and helping you get your full spate of things done. We will certainly be talking about, on a related note, we'll be talking about the implementation of a new law that will change for the public who cares about participation and meeting participation. Feel free to join us for the January 5th meeting, and we'll have additional trainings. The law on the transparency in the Brown Act and the requirements for teleconferencing and participation remotely, and and a variety of clarifications are being made. So it's a relatively important year in terms of addressing some of these related topics.
It's not positive. Stacy, go ahead and read the subject, please.
I did.
You did?
I can.
David, hit it.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council. David Kwong, Citizen City Manager. I just have brief overview comments. In regard to the staff report, the council directed us to place this item for this tonight's agenda. And at this point, staff is really recommending no action on this item at this point. And what we anticipate is placing a CASAS-related update or agenda item on January 20th next year. And that really is the introductory report comments for me. And I'm open to any questions you may have.
All right.
I would simply just add that there have been a few developments on kind of both sides of the issue. We've posted 2 additional letters on the city's website for transparency. We will, among other things, be reflecting on those. But those are all the correspondence we've received related to those topics are available on the city's website. And we'll continue to post any new information very quickly if it arises.
Okay, excellent. Public comment?
Yes, we have 8 or so public comment cards.
Okay.
So we'll start with James Garcia. Following James will be Helen Willem-Bashaw, Michelle St. Clair, John Briggs, Larry Leroy Ladd, Sergio Diaz, Brenda Gustin, and Julie Gabel.
Great. James Garcia, resident Stone Creek. One thing is, since we had David recuse himself, he's probably in the next room and probably watching this whole entire thing, even though he can't comment, but could be having electronic communication with anybody up here to help sway things. So just really hope that if we have to have people recuse themselves, that they actually fully recuse themselves and don't see anything for future. But this particular case, I would rather the city not do the tolling and settlement agreement because, again, it is buyer's remorse. All of this was in our specific plan way ahead of time before the buyer even purchased the property. That had been revealed to them. Since they could not build in a floodplain, they're now trying to change it. If you go back to the original proposal they brought forth with this property, it was for smaller, lower density than was allowed by the whole entire plan. So they knew full well from the very beginning that they were going to be trying to get favoritism and get anything else to change. So they started off wrong. They never decided to have the apartment complex to meet the high density requirement of the 10 acres at the top of the property. Again, not trying to do what was right and what was already set in stone a long time ago. The fact that we have this tolling agreement that is potentially going to be on the table and having any inkling to changing our specific plan and our municipal code to allow such a change of a different density is also just not ethical. Come on, it's there. They are having buyer's remorse. Stop trying to make any project happen and be legal. The fact that we had to have this particular case with a 2-1 vote, because that's all that was here, and yes, code does allow any of the winning side, so to speak, to allow them to go ahead and bring it forth for a motion to be continued. And since that was passed again 2-1, it's back on the table. And now it's being asked to be pushed back to 120. Don't do it. Stop making things to your whim, to a developer's whim, and making it legal. Get it off the table. It doesn't need to be here.
Hello, Ms. Shaw. In 2018, there was a meeting with the Pappas organization out of, I think it was Chicago. They were attempting to build on the Casas property. They backed out of it. It was actually decided at that special meeting that they couldn't build. My concern is part of the error falls with the people representing the paid employees that work for the city. That piece of property is 41 acres. Little over 25 acres sits on a floodway. Very clearly states that you cannot build in a floodway, even in our own policies. Why would the people that the builders come to in the city even allow them and let them make a presentation? You can't build on a floodway. Another thing about the floodway is the sewer people who put in the sewer lines will not place sewer lines in an area that could be flooded. TrueMark made a proposal. They were still in a buy-in state with the Casas, and they elected to go forward knowing that there was an uprise with the community about them building on that lower portion. We gave up the upper portion because we want the lower portion. The lower portion represents if we have a catastrophic flooding and that piece of land isn't there, you're going to have major devastation downstream because the water's not going to have that 25 acres to acquire the overflow of the water. It's going to affect upstream, but mainly downstream it's going to affect. Then you've got the 17 luxury homes in the Tiffany Farms area that was established in 1973. They will be the new floodway because they have a 4-foot levee. And the TrueMark wants to up the ground by 6 feet. There's a protected Sacramento Valley oak tree on the bottom of 2542 Rod Beaudry Drive. It's 65 feet in height. It has a drip line. You can't build over a drip line. There's a lot of little things wrong with that. The city needs to not go into a tolling agreement because what you're doing is you're opening us up for a potential lawsuit. If something goes wrong, TrueMark's going to sue you. What I told our group when we started to form, I said, this fight will be a 5 to a 10-year battle to protect this land. Be ready for it. We've already hit the 5-year mark. And if you cave to this builder, you're doing the city a major injustice because this builder has a reputation for being a trashy builder. Thank you.
Next speaker is Michelle St. Clair. Following Michelle will be John Briggs, Larry Leroy Ladd.
Good evening. My name is Michelle St. Clair, and I'm speaking on behalf of Wilton Rancheria in my role as Executive Director of Cultural Preservation. We understand that tonight's agenda includes a recommendation from the City Manager and City Attorney that the Council take no action on the proposed tolling and settlement agreement between the City of Rancho Cordova and TrueMark. I'm here to clearly state the tribe's strong opposition to any tolling agreement or future development proposals for the Casas property. Wilton Rancheria is a sovereign nation and a federally recognized tribe, the only federally recognized tribe present in Sacramento County, with a deep ancestral, cultural, and spiritual ties to the land impacted by the proposed agreement. The tribe appears tonight to preserve its objections and to make clear that it will exercise all applicable rights to protect these remaining tribal cultural resources along the American River. The tribe strongly opposes this development in its entirety. The project site is one of the last undeveloped areas along the river and lies within a floodplain, as you've already heard tonight. Beyond its environmental sensitivity, the site contains irreplaceable tribal cultural resources of profound significance. Any ground disturbance risks desecrating sacred sites with religious and spiritual importance to the tribe. That harm would be permanent and cannot be mitigated. The cultural landscape includes traditional cultural resources and areas of ongoing religious and ceremonial use. Once destroyed, these connections to the tribe's ancestors, their ceremonies, and their identity cannot be restored. Tribal cultural resources are not relics of the past. They are living elements of who the tribe are and their governance responsibilities. The site also supports threatened and endangered species, further underscoring its ecological importance. Proceeding with this project would compromise both cultural and environmental integrity. So we respectfully urge the city to, 1, decline the approval of the proposed tolling and settlement agreement and any related development proposals, commit to meaningful, good faith government-to-government consultation with Wilton Rancheria before considering any future applications affecting this area, and prioritize long-term conservation of this culturally and environmentally sensitive area. Wilton remains committed to respectful engagement and collaboration. However, the tribe cannot support this project and will continue to act to protect its cultural heritage, sovereign rights, and irreplaceable tribal cultural resources. Thank you for your time and consideration tonight.
Good evening. My name is John Briggs. I am a board member of the Save the American River Association, and I'm also a retired litigation attorney. I did environmental litigation for about 30 years. Now, I'd like to talk about the nuts and bolts of this proposed agreement. Let's focus on that and give you something to think about if you don't rule on it today. First of all, it's fashioned as a settlement agreement. I can assure you, I've read hundreds of settlement agreements. I've written hundreds of settlement agreements. This is not a settlement agreement. It's a procedural agreement. What it does is it compromises the city's duty of independence when it's the lead agency under CEQA. It has a legal duty to be independent. So let's look at the settlement agreement and look at the nuts and bolts. The first thing that it does is it requires that you agree with the developer on who the lead consultant is going to be in preparing the EIR. Now, the last hearing we had, council pointed out that the city will be contracting with that person, but that's not the issue. The issue is that you're giving up your right and your duty and breaching your duty to be independent and select whoever you want. You don't have to compromise on that, but that's what it requires. And I'm going to tell you, it's a vulnerability to the city because somebody's going to come along and perhaps sue on the basis that this agreement compromises your independence. The second thing it does is it requires that you contractually collaborate with the experts that Trumark wants to put forward in preparing the EIR. There's no definition of collaborate in the agreement. So the basic rule of construction is you look at the dictionary meaning, you look at the common meaning. And what collaborate means is that you come to an agreement, that you prepare a process or agreement in collaboration with somebody by not just cooperating, but actually doing something jointly. The other thing that this does is it requires that the city fast track all the collateral permits that will be necessary in order to move forward with the project at its own expense. So it's giving away its discretion there. Some of those permits may require some hearings. And lastly, it concedes the city's discretion by kicking into binding arbitration any dispute that arises from this procedural agreement. Now, I know the city is going to purport to keep its discretion with respect to the final decision on the EIR. I'm not talking about that.
Please wrap up your comments.
Yes, I'm talking about the agreement itself. The city is putting itself in a conflict of interest here, boys and girls. That's what's happening. Heads I win, tails you lose. That's where Trumark is coming from. You're either going to get sued now or you're going to get sued later, and you're going to have that hanging over your heads when you make the final decision. Thank you.
Larry Leroy Ladd. Following Larry will be Sergio Diaz, Brenda Gustin, and Julie.
I've been impressed so far by the people who preceded me about the caliber of their arguments. And again, makes me feel good to see such an intense and well-informed debate. From the very beginning, this was clearly about values, conservation, wildlife conservation between economic growth. It's a classic thing. And I'm kind of neutral on that. I mean, you go the way your voters want to go. But there are a couple of things. Oh, David isn't here, so I'm not going to use the analogy. Maybe somebody who's had chemistry, engineer chemistry, boiling chip. You know, you put these things in that you're heating and you make sure that keeps the liquid that you're mixing from boiling over. That's kind of what I view my role. And in two realms that I've done some study on. Number one, flood control, whatever the debate is on that. And the counterpart is if you're going to develop one of the things that really will serve Rancho Cordova well in the future is seismic stability, which hasn't been discussed much lately. Linda's heard it forever, but it's absolutely true. You have the big one destroy the Bay Area, and suddenly Rancho Cordova looks like a good place to relocate. I have noted on the conservation camp quasi-rhetorical claims that if you don't allow in high water for the water to flood that old orchard, that somehow all the levees downstream are going to fail. You know, that's kind of classic catastrophic rhetoric. And so I encourage them, if that's what they really feel, to trot out the studies that say that so that I can study that and learn something about it. But I'll finish with, for those of you who are newbies, I've always advised this city to have a contingency plan in case of major earthquake, how this city can exploit that and say, we don't have earthquakes here. And that's only going to matter if it's impacting people's bottom lines disastrously in terms of insurance and all that. But I am looking forward, if there is debate and there is litigation, to looking at the flood part, because I live in Sun River, and the more I can learn about floods and the flood risk here, the better.
Sergio?
Good evening, Council, Mayor, and Honorable Mayor, Council members, and city officials. At our last council meeting on 12/1/25, over 300 of your constituents and other concerned citizens of the adjoining communities voiced their opposition to a settlement, a tolling agreement, which provides for homes to be built in a floodway portion of the Casas property. Not a single vote, not one public comment recommended approval. By a 2-to-1 vote in favor of approval, the city attorney opined that the matter did not pass. It was disapproved. That should have been the end of the matter. Instead, it was continued to a future date. Without citing any legal authority and without any apparent legal authority, the city attorney now opined that the matter was continued, thereby nullifying the vote disapproved that had occurred minutes before. The actions of the city council on that night to continue the vote to a later date after the matter had been deemed as not having passed, even if legal, appeared unseemly and beneath the dignity of this elected body. As a city council, you set the standard, leading by example with integrity, honesty, and transparency. By continuing this matter, which was disapproved, presumably hoping for a favorable outcome when all of you are present, suggested to all of us present that the city council was gaming the system of government to undermine the overwhelming will of your constituents. You are better than the trickery displayed at the meeting on 12/1 to force your will. The citizens of Rancho Cordova deserve better and hold you to a higher standard of integrity and honesty. While we are grateful that the tolling agreement and related documents contemplate an EIR for the Casas property, our community is concerned that the TrueMark and its consultants will continue with their standard behind-the-scenes pattern and practice out of public view machinations to cajole and, if needed, subtly threaten city staff to mold, shape, and handcraft an EIR report and other important documents favoring project approval. And although unlikely, if the city remains steadfast in its finding of project inconsistency after the EIR is finalized, along with other documents, TrueMark will use the city-generated reports paid for by the city, and TrueMark own reports to sue the city disapproving the project. In other words, the tolling agreement will enable TrueMark, not the city, to buy more time to scheme approval. By cornering the city into approving the project, the city has already determined to be inconsistent with the city's objective general plan policies, city's own flood ordinance, and contrary to state and federal law.
Please wrap up your comments.
When catastrophic flooding does occur and TrueMark has completed the project and left town, the citizens of this community who live here, your constituents, who have no place to go, will hold the city and city officials ultimately politically and financially responsible for permitting TrueMark to build in the floodway, resulting in catastrophic loss of their homes and lives. I urge you to uphold and disapprove the tolling agreement and this proposal. Thank you very much for your attention.
Stacy, can I use the overhead? Oh,
Just call me Vanna. Dun, 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 dun.
it's too hard to turn these over.
Thank you, Stacy.
Thank you.
Do you want it up or down?
This way to see it. Applies with size. Thank you, Brenda Gustin. Thank you for your time and service. No action is recommended for this matter tonight, and I hope for that outcome. Over 300 citizens commented 2 weeks ago in opposition to the proposed tolling and settlement agreement. The city needs to take these objections seriously and reflect these comments at the proposed January meeting. The Casas site listed in the 2013 amendment of the Folsom Boulevard specific plan was purchased by Trumark in 2021, knowing full well that the lower 20 acres of land located in the floodway was unbuildable land. Title 23 California Code of Regulations prohibits the construction of year-round dwellings, and Section 107 prohibits the construction of residential structures within designated floodways. The green area is the lower tier where homes would be built in the floodway. The Rancho Cordova General Plan safety element discourages the use of fill to create buildable areas within the 100-year floodplain, except in extreme circumstances consistent with all other applicable policies and regulations, and after review, to determine potential impacts on wildlife, habitat, and flooding on other parcels. These are clear restrictions for the use of fill to create buildable area within this FEMA 100-year floodplain. No extreme circumstances apply, and twice the city has found Trumark's proposal inconsistent with their plans. Spending taxpayer dollars to amend the specific plan, allowing lower density housing to this for-profit venture provides no public benefit and instead places existing homeowners at risk. Reasonable alternatives do exist. Contrary to the request of Wilton Rancheria, development as zoned, residential mixed use on the upper tier of this property is possible, conforming with the city's plans. Citizens oppose building in the floodway, protecting the health and safety of nearby residents and preserving the wildlife and natural habitat. Please do not spend taxpayer funds amending this specific plan to allow lower density housing for an out-of-town LLC to build. Hold true to your decision to follow existing plans for development. Lastly, Trumark has a history of noncompliance with existing regulations. They have repeatedly violated fire code regulations by illegally grading and destroying the environmental baseline, supporting the over 160 species that depend on this habitat. A cease and desist order was issued. However, in January this year, Trumark illegally trespassed on the Tiffany Farms easement and destroyed protected elderberry bushes.
Please
I
wrap up your comments.
respectfully request you utilize this time before January 20th to include concerned residents and citizens in your discussions, so that plans made with Trumark that are happening all of the time uphold the rights of the public as well as the private landowner. Thank you.
Julie?
Hi, my name is, can you guys hear me? Okay. Hi, my name is Julie Gable, and I'm actually, I live in Sacramento, but I'm a daughter of Rancho Cordova, and my father actually was a firefighter. He retired from, well, he first was with the Rancho Cordova Fire Department in Sac Metro, and he gave 32 years of service to this city. Linda, I don't know that you recall my father. His name was Calvin Webster, but you came to his celebration of life that we held at the City Hall, and in that you posthumously recognized him. And he gave half of his life because he died at 64 of cancer, which he retired early from the fire department here. But he always had his heart here in Rancho Cordova. And as I grew up and as a child, I went to school here. We did move in and out of the area. I came back and lived here during college. I now live close by. But we are, even though I'm not sitting in the city of Rancho Cordova boundaries, we are actively working with you as partners. We're your fellow citizens and constituents, and I'm concerned. And I am opposed to this project, but I've also been doing an extensive amount of research. I've done some public records requests, and I'm concerned with the transparency. I'm concerned with the fact that it does not look like this council is listening to your residents and also your fellow partners and constituents in the community. And I've looked at the tolling agreement, and I agree with what John Briggs said and more. It looks incredibly biased. it does forfeit an incredible amount of decision-making and power that you need to retain. And I do ask that you not approve this agreement either tonight or in future. I ask that the council members, I know, Sarah, you were not able to be here, go back and listen. I know it takes a lot of time because there's a lot of testimony, but the council chambers were full. I watched at home from Zoom because I couldn't come because I had a medical procedure that day. But I watched the meeting in its entirety. You had an entire audience here. I think 43 speakers spoke. I think Stacy commented at the time that it was at least 274 letters that have come in, and you have over more than 5,000 signatures on petitions. The citizens are resoundingly telling you this is not the place for a project. It's a floodway, and as Brenda Gustin had just shown you, it's in a special hazard flood zone in just a 1 in 100 year floodplain. And that is not the full magnitude of problems that we have from a flooding perspective. This is a place that also has cultural significance, as you heard earlier from one of the speakers. And it has historical importance, environmental importance, and there are also obligations that precede us tonight on the Lower American River Parkway that need to be upheld to protect these resources. And so I ask that you please take time, and I hope that after we close the comment, you won't surprise us and actually try and vote this through. I do know the staff is asking to carry this over to the 20th, but I think more homework needs to be done. And the other thing that I think needs to come forward.
Please wrap up your comments.
For the public citizens, there are two things that I would ask. When you do hear this, should you decide to bring the tolling and settlement agreement back, read it in its entirety in the meeting, so that everyone can be reminded of all the provisions of what you're doing. And then the second thing is you need to have much more information brought forward on the flood risks and the floodway. I did not see that in the presentation in the previous meeting on December 1st. Thank you.
In addition to the public comment that we've heard this evening, there were public comments sent via email. Those have been distributed to the City Council, placed on the city's website, and have been printed for the public in the back of the council chambers. Those 7 individuals are Lisa Phoenix, Carl Salmonson, Michelle St. Clair, Pete Spalding, John Briggs, Mark Berry, and Brenda Gustin.
Let's, you guys want to just move forward with the motion to do nothing?
Comments?
What's it called? What are we doing?
Any council comments, but then, yeah, you have staff's recommendation that you take no action and that you take no action on this tonight.
All right.
Move the motion to take no action.
Except to continue it to, do we have to continue?
No, we don't need to continue.
No, just no motion.
Okay,
No action.
okay.
Okay.
But if there
Second.
are any council comments, you're welcome to take them.
So
Second.
moving, and then, so Siri made a motion.
Yeah.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Roll call.
Real quick, I have a question, I guess. What changed in staff's mind between this meeting and the last one in regards to approving the agreement?
Sure. There were obviously important developments from HCD and from the tribes. Those are 2 new important pieces of information. We also do not know from the developer whether the tolling agreement is still on the table or not. So we have to, I think that having additional conversations and doing additional reflection after that evening are in order for a number of different reasons. And we don't at this time know whether the tolling agreement would come back in any form or in some changed form. I think there is, it's a good opportunity to do some additional reflection.
Excellent. So do we have a first and a second?
We do.
Roll call.
Councilmember Pulapati?
Yes.
Councilmember Little? Yes. Councilmember Sander is recusing himself. Vice Mayor Budge?
Yep.
Yes.
Oh,
Mayor-
sorry. That was supposed to come to me. Too fast. Go ahead.
Mayor Gatewood?
Yes.
Thank you. The motion passes.
I'm so used to being vice mayor. Oh, we're going to go ahead and adjourn this meeting. Merry Christmas to all. Oh, I'm sorry. My bad. It's not on here. I'm going to go ahead and adjourn this meeting to closed session.
Can we ask if there's any public comment for closed session first?
Is there any Public comment for closed session?
I do not have any public comment for closed session.
All right, no, go ahead and close and go to public closed session.
Thank you.
Don't get it.